All right, good morning. This week we're going to review some of the activities that we did last week talking about budgeting, and then we're going to dive a little deeper into personal finance and talk about gross income and net income. So the first thing we're going to do is, review from last week. So you can just raise your hand. What is an expense? Who knows? Taylor. Think of money. I'll give us an example. Insurance.
On expenses, income, fixed and variable. Okay. So the objectives we're going to have this week, we're going to distinguish between gross income and net income, like I talked about. We're going to appraise how an employer calculates net income. And then we're going to be able to accurately name the various parts of a personal check, and this will lead us into our activity for next week. So we have a handout here that goes along with our H&R Block Challenge activities that we're doing. And it says, don't be the girl who spends her paycheck without understanding her income. It says, Maria is a 23-year-old college graduate who just accepted her first job as a medical assistant. She earns $25 an hour and works 30 hours each week. Maria plans to make a $1,500 deposit on an apartment in 2 weeks. Can she do it? Why or why not? So we're going to find out how much she makes, what she does each week, and she wants to talk about making a deposit for an apartment in 2 weeks. That's $1,500. So we have some questions here we're going to go over. First thing we got to do, our first question is, why is my net income less than my gross income? Well, let's take a look at her pay stub. Before we do that, we want to talk about the difference between gross income and net income. Gross income is the starting point for determining federal and state income tax for individuals. Except as otherwise provided by law, gross income means all income from any source. So basically, gross income you think about as everything that you're receiving before you take any money out. So your paycheck, your extras, anything that you include in that is before you take any money out. Net income is net earnings, net profit. Those are the different words for it. Is an entity's income minus the cost of goods sold, expenses, and taxes. So basically think about it like this. Your gross income is before you take anything out. Your net income is afterwards. Your net income is the actual amount that you actually have to spend. So let's take a look at Maria's paycheck here. So Maria works as a medical assistant. She earns $25 an hour, it said, and she works 30 hours a week. So we know by doing simple math that a week Maria's earning $750. She's working She doesn't need to spend all of her money, right? And what we're going to look at is this $1,500 represents her gross income, everything that she's receiving. But what's her net income?
But she still got other stuff we gotta come out of.
So if you can see it up here, this is her pay stub, her paycheck, so to speak. And as you see, we did 60 hours because it was 30 hours a week. So for 2 weeks, 60 hours, $25 an hour. She gets $1,500 for the 2-week pay period. But this represents her gross income. Her net income actually ends up only being a little over $1,000, $1,040.93. Why is that? Because all these deductions take out money from her gross income. There's different types of deductions. We're going to review these. The first one you have here is federal income tax. Anybody know exactly what that is? What does federal income tax mean? That's the money that you spend or you give to the government, and they use that for federal defense, for the armed services, for the better use for the common good of the citizens. So that's money that we give to the government. Michigan state income tax. So Maria lives in Michigan, supposedly. So there's a state income tax that's similar to the federal one. She pays that. Then she has a Southville city income tax, and then she's paying the city. So these are the 3 different forms of government: the local, her city, the state, Michigan, and then the federal. She's paying tax to all 3. Then you have the Medicare tax. Anybody familiar with Medicare tax? So this is what we call a government transfer payment, and we'll talk about this further in a minute. What that means is the government takes money from your paycheck and provides it to a Medicare tax, where it then helps provide insurance and medical expenses for all of the citizens in short. It gets more complicated, but that's basically the sense. Social Security tax, again, it's a government transfer. It takes your money and then transfers it over to others. It also, for the Social Security part, helps to save money for you for when you eventually retire. Again, in short, it gets more complicated. 401k, anyone familiar with that? Taylor? It's a retirement fund. So basically you put money in what's known as a 401k. It has other terms, and that helps save money for you for your future for retirement. This would be a personal deduction, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Healthcare is her health insurance. Make sure that she has money to be able to pay when she gets sick. And then savings. So if you look at all the deductions she has here, she has her taxes deducted, she has her government transfers deducted, and then she has her personal deductions. And all that adds up to a little over $400, which means she's eventually left with a net income of $1,040.93. Is that clear to everybody? Okay. If you want to look at her check that she received from her employer, and this is just going to be a quick example, we're going to go over this later next week. But you see, she had the name of her employer because she's a medical assistant, ABC Medical. That's what we call the drawer of the check. The payee is who is made out to. Well, in this case, it's Maria Suarez. So then it says paid to the order of Maria Suarez, has her address. The bank code is this first set of numbers right here, and that represents the bank that she is using. It doesn't have a name for the bank on this specific check, but that's the name of the bank. Then you have her account number listed here, the second list of numbers. You have the check number, so every check is individually numbered, so they know exactly what amount of money is going to what person. Then you have the amount of money, and I know y'all have been paying for some of your items on H&R Block through checks. And y'all have learned you have to spell out the words here and then list a numerical value on the right side. And then lastly is her signature. Very simple, very straightforward. We'll go over this more in detail next week. Okay, so we answered Maria's question number 1, which was, will she be able to, or why is her net income less than her gross income? Second question is, how does my employer calculate her net income? So, just like we mentioned, there are different types of deductions. You have your required deductions, which will come out every single time you have a paycheck. Federal income tax, which was, in her case, was 13% of her check. Michigan, the state income tax, which was 4%. Southville City, her city income tax was 1%.
Then her Medicare tax, which is a government transfer, was 1.5%, and Social Security was 6%. So you add up all the required deductions, and you get a little over 20% of her paycheck is already coming out before she even gets the money. Does that make sense? Then you have voluntary deductions. This is what Maria decides personally she wants to have taken out of her check. You don't have to have these voluntary deductions, but you can if you want to. She has her 401k, which we mentioned is what, Taylor? Retirement plan, so she's saving for the future. And then she has her health care, which is basically her insurance, her form of insurance. And so those are the voluntary deductions that she's taking out, and those make up a little over 4% of her personal check. Then we also have other voluntary deductions that you can take out if you want to, which are common, or dental insurance. Sometimes your health insurance does not cover dental, oftentimes it doesn't. And so that's a separate medical insurance that you may take out. If you have a spouse or dependent, a child living with you, you may have extra life insurance taken out on that person. That's optional. And then savings bonds, similar to a 401k retirement plan, optional, basically saving for future. So you have your required deductions, you have your voluntary deductions. Question number 3. What can I do with my deductions to save more money in the future? So Maria's looking at her paycheck and she's saying, I should be getting $1,500 because that's what I earn, but I'm only getting a little over $1,000. How can I save more money for the future to make sure I can save enough money to get this apartment that I want? Anybody have any ideas on ways that she can save more money in the future? Yeah, so she can add more money to her savings out of her personal check. Any other ideas? Less into her retirement and more into her overall checks, basically swapping them around. We'll look at some examples. She can cut unnecessary voluntary deductions, like you mentioned. If she thinks she may have insurance through, well, I mentioned that Maria is 23 years old. Under the new federal law, until she's 26 years old, she can actually be accounted on her parents' medical insurance, so she could save money that way by not having medical insurance. Also, common in today's time, if her spouse, if she's married, has medical insurance through their employer, she may be counted on that and may not have to pay for it herself. She could also add a higher percentage of deduction to her savings plan, like you mentioned, Shania, and so switching money around so she can have more money to save for the future. She can put more money in her 401k. And what's neat about this, and this is getting a little deep into the weeds, but when you put money into a 401k savings retirement plan, that deduction is actually tax exempt. So what that means is the money that you would move over to your 401k happens from your gross income, not your net income. And so the taxes that you would pay then later will be less because it's a less percentage. And we're not going to be testing on that, but that's just something neat to know. All right, last question. Question number 4. When will I be able to afford the $1,500 deposit on my apartment? So she got paid $1,500 for 2 weeks of work. That was her gross income. We ended up finding her net income was how much? A little over $1,000. So she's not able to afford that apartment right now, right? Plus, y'all mentioned that she needs to have some extra money for other things, maybe spend car pay, gas, food. So when do you think Maria will be able to afford the apartment?
New tax stuff on the bottom that we're going to look at next is questions. Star, do you want to read that little paragraph for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
Anyone that is connected to our individual to the education, this is not meant for, video games, to appreciate everything.
Teachers, please disregard the bell. Teachers, please disregard the bell.
$11 to $21.
Okay. So it says that we have two people, Amy and Jason, and they're trying to reduce their spending. So Jason's cutting out money that he spends on snacks and money that he spends on video games. And Amy is reducing the money that she spends on art supplies. Okay, so they're saving more money. Jerry, will you read the next paragraph for us?
Realizing that each needs to increase the income they decide to have and they are very different suggestions. She had an idea if you have a strong listening and understand the wacky flavors. I know they part-time workers at food companies. They pay $8 an hour. After beginning the work permit at school, Amy and Jason were hired for 7-hour Saturday shift. Wow, it's not available. That's $56. Wouldn't end up the same working 4 or 5 hours and say doing more.
So they're taking up a part-time job to then help add more money to their account. So they're cutting spending and they're taking a part-time job. Third paragraph, short one. Anyone want to read that one? Okay.
After a week of reaching out, an untold number of families wanted to visit various ministries. And Carmel, Pritchett, Rubber Bar, College. The twins received their first paycheck after excitedly opening their pay envelopes. Their jobs dropped. We've been robbed Friday.
Okay, so basically they were talking about having doing different types of ice cream. Those were names of their ice cream cones, I suppose. So they got the paychecks, and their first response was what? They thought they had more money than they should have had, right? All right, last paragraph. Meredith explained where the money went. So they had another friend that helped explain to Amy and Jason where the money went. She said, you were required to pay taxes, and you chose to donate $1 to charity every week and put $35 directly into the bank so you would have enough to buy the car in 2 years. After all that, you still had over $11 each week to save or spend as you please. So if you look there below it, it says Cuckoo Combs, and this is their pay stub, and you see they worked 7 hours, $8 an hour. Well, it was only one day. It's a simple experiment. So you have $7 an hour, or 7 hours, $8 an hour, $56 they should have received, right? But what happened? We had to take out deductions. Right, they felt like they got robbed. They had to take out the deductions. Now in this instance, they don't have as many deductions as we had in the last one. But we have state tax withholding, Social Security tax, federal tax withholding, medical tax, or Medicare tax, savings deposit, and charity donations. And you can see there the current amount and what that takes out from their paycheck to leave them with how much money at the very end after all deductions are taken out. $11.56. They worked basically all day to only go home with $11.56. That's why they're a little upset. But let's look at the reasons why. Question number 1, and y'all want you to answer these on the back of this page, or you can take out a separate sheet, however you want to do it. Question number 1, what percentage of Jason's gross pay goes for taxes? Do we remember how to do percentages? Little refresher for us, if you want to look up here. To do percentages, if you take a $5 and you divide that by 10, that gives you a percentage of 50% if you move the decimal place twice. 5 is 50% of 10. So if you want to do percentage-wise, take the smaller number and then divide it by the larger number, and then make sure you move the decimal place 2 places to the right, and that'll give you percentage. So, first question. What percentage of Jason's...
Please again, disregard that bell, please. Please disregard that bell. Thank you.
Trying to get you out here. Okay. What percentage of Jason's gross pay goes for taxes? Taylor? 79%? Okay, let's look at that. 79%. Well, what was his total taxes that he paid? That's actually the entire deductions from everything he took out. But not everything that was deducted is a tax, right? What wasn't a tax? Charity donation isn't a tax. Savings deposit isn't a tax either. So make sure that you don't account for those. And federal. Right, but what was that percentage? What is that $8 percentage of his overall paycheck? I think that's the right amount. You divide it by his total paycheck. We'll do it together on the board. So, his first tax withholding was state tax, and that was $1.60. Then, he also had the tax of Social Security tax, which is $2.35. And what was next? That's how much?
He doesn't have to do either one of those, right? He doesn't have to put money in savings. He can take the money if he wants it. And he doesn't have to give money to charity, but it's wise to do both of those because it's good to give back. It's also good to put money in savings automatically so you don't have that money to spend. So, same process, add up the two voluntary deductions and then divide that by his overall paycheck, which is $56, and we get his percentage of voluntary deductions, which was 64, 63%, something like that. Large majority of his paycheck went to voluntary deductions. I think it was about 64.28%, I believe. Last question. What is the Medicare tax rate percentage? So depending on different variables, your state, your age, several different things, your Medicare tax percentage may be different depending on your situation. In his situation, it was 0.81% of his overall paycheck. I mean, $0.81 out of his overall paycheck. But what percentage was that? By his overall paycheck. 1.44%. So very small percentage. Is that what everybody else had?
Yeah.
Very good. So the three questions were, what percentage of Jason's gross pay goes toward taxes? And we said that was about 15%. The second question was, what percentage of his gross pay is used for voluntary deductions? And that was about 64%. And then what percentage of his Medicare tax percentage? And that was 1%. So if you add up the two percentages, his voluntary and his mandated taxes, you get about 80%. So 80% of his paycheck is already going away before he ever sees it. That's why he was only ended up having $11.56. Okay, last assignment we're going to do. Y'all hold on to those. I'll come by and get them in a second. I want everyone to log into their H&R Block account if you're not logged in already. Everyone got it? Quandash, remind me what to do. Go to what tab? We talked about it earlier.
student. All right, so everyone go to student home and then go to employer. And when you get to your employer tab, you'll scroll down to the bottom and it should have your W-2 or your pay stub. Everyone see that? If you don't see it, raise your hand. Okay, good. So everyone's there. Most of them should be the same. I think depending on how you set it up, it may be different. But what we're going to do is I want you to look at your pay stub and you can use the word that we use as an example. And I want you to answer these 3 questions. Your pay stub page block.
What percentage of your paycheck is voluntarily deducted? And what is your state tax rate percentage? You can write those on the back of your worksheet that we just did. I'm going to walk around and assist.
So add up all your taxes. So this is from year to date. So this is your weekly income, this is your yearly income, and you can still do it. So take it at federal tax, Social Security tax, Medicare tax, and then you're going to divide that by your overall income. Okay, good. All right, and then this is what you earned today. So then you divide that number. Mhm. Okay, so this means what percentage? And you just divide. I'll figure it out. Because I realized that was a W-2 down there. Oh, great. Perfect. Okay. Miss Yoder actually found a better way to do this because we were looking at your W-2, which is actually all of your money that you've earned. And you can still do it that way, but what's easier is to look at your individual paycheck. So go back to, scroll to the top of this page. And then click on Paycheck View under Payroll History. Does everyone see that at the very top? That should give you, perfect, okay. And that was my fault, I didn't realize, because I'm still learning H&R Block as well. So, read, yeah. Well, try with this one, it should be the same, but these are smaller numbers, so it should be easier. Thank you for showing that. Everyone find their individual paycheck? You got two. Y'all find the individual paycheck? Hey. Yes, ma'am. So the first question is asking what percentage of your paycheck goes toward taxes. You need to add up all the taxes on this paycheck. Federal withholdings, federal withholding tax. Mhm. You already know. Or they divide it by, yours may be different. You might have added that to the salary insurance premium. Because gross income. That's it. So do that same formula for the next two questions. What percentage of your paycheck is voluntary deductions? You may or may not have any voluntary deductions depending on how you set it up. Jared has a 401k deduction and health insurance for his two voluntary deductions. Those would be the two amounts that he added up and then divided. Health insurance and 401k retirement. Gross tax. So yours is going to be 401. So you have to put it on that. Because everything else in there's tax, right? A mandated deduction. Yes, sir. Are you in the first one or second? So you have all your taxes, federal withholding one, Social Security one, Medicare one, state tax. You have all those one numbers. For federal withholding, federal tax, state tax, and then Social Security, Medicare. You don't have any city or local tax on this example. The last one, what is your state tax rate percentage? So you take your state tax, and for y'all on this example, it'll be, should be about $41, I think. Okay, so you take that state tax and you divide that, just that one number, by your gross pay. All right, so write the three answers on the back of the worksheet, and I'll come by and take them up. And that is, yeah, write your name on it, please. That's fine. Last thing, when you finish with that, just to prepare for next week, does everyone have an Edmodo account? If you don't, raise your hand. Okay, most of you don't. Okay, well try to, this is what I want you to do. If you're finished, if not, keep working. Log on to edmodo.com. I believe it's .com, and see if you remember your password and try to log in. Because what I want you to do is I want you to join my group or my page for this class, because the next activity to do for the next lesson will use Edmodo. So I want you to go ahead and log in. When you get there, I'll give you the group code. You want it? I don't know exactly how to do it. Yeah, sure. Try this. Let me grab it for you. How do I, did you write it here? I'm about to write it up here. Pardon? Oh, I think so. I can guarantee that no more than about 5 people are going to watch it. So. Oh, this is fun. Okay. Code is. What's it really? Anyone read that? Edmodo code is BAR the number 4, G, number 6, all lowercase. And it should join my group. Say Mr. Pritchett's class.
My username already taken. That's the one that had I forgot my password. What's my email? Can I use my phone?